down to Michelle Fields and Katie Pavlich. Okay, guys, let me start with you, Katie. You hear this. Let's start with New York. I mean, first of all, it's Anthony Weiner who wants to be mayor. The sexting scandals, he's surprised that it's a big story. And very quietly, Eliot Spitzer's pretty darn happy Anthony Weiner's on the hot seat right now.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony Weiner, for taking away the attention. Look, I'm going to have to make a spreadsheet to keep track of all of these stories of these Democratic men sending pictures, being inappropriate, but they are doing themselves a disservice. Let's start with Filner. He's in charge of a major city in the United States, and now he's saying he's going to go do therapy. Well, that's great, but when you're in therapy for rehab for your sexual behavior over the past 10 years, you can't run a city. And so when people say that this doesn't matter, it does, because the focus has been changed from running the city onto his own sexual problems that he says doesn't matter when they actually do.
Right. And Michelle, the thing about Filner in San Diego is he was physical with these women. He was like putting his arms around. He was physically touching them. That's a different story. That takes it to another level, doesn't it?
Oh, certainly. I mean, he was putting women in a headlock and touching them and groping them. This is absolutely ridiculous. And like what Katie said, I mean, this is a complete distraction. How can you be a leader? How can you run a city if you're dealing with all of these allegations and also doing this to people? You know, the Democrats love to talk about this war on women that Republicans are waging. But look at this. Look at these men, the stunning arrogance that they actually they're surprised that people are making this a big deal, as if it's not a big deal. I mean, they're very sick.
Sure, sure. In fact, Filner says he's not stepping down. He's going to go to therapy for a couple of weeks and be briefed every single day about what's going on in San Diego. Back to you, Katie. Let's go back to Anthony Weiner. Now, his poll numbers have slid a little bit, but still surprisingly strong given what he's up against. Really, what we're finding out about the guy.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add that Anthony Weiner claimed that he went to therapy and it didn't work, so I'm not sure if it's going to work out for Filner either. But in terms of the polling, you know, he's down 9 points, I believe. You go on the streets of New York and you ask people whether they're wanting to vote for him, and they're saying no. And it's not necessarily because they care about his sex life. It's because he lied about it. He talked about it when he resigned from Congress, and now he's saying just get over it. And he's kind of given himself some cover by saying more things might come out in the future, but I'm not willing to talk about it because they're in the past, when we know he was sexting and having these relationships not only while his wife was pregnant for 9 months, but also a year after he resigned. And that's something they should take into consideration, because if you can't trust him when it comes to his personal life, how are you going to trust him with big decisions for the biggest city in the United States?
So, Michelle, I was talking, so first of all, Weiner, Democrat, Filner, Democrat, Spitzer, Democrat. I was talking to a Democrat voter in the hallway, and I said to her, what about Bill Clinton? What'd you do there? And she said, oh, I still voted for him. I said, why? After she told me she wasn't going to vote for Anthony Weiner. She lives here. I said, why Bill Clinton? Well, he's cute. Michelle?
Well, I think in this case, I don't think anyone can argue that it's the case with Weiner. But I do think that his poll numbers are going to go down, because I think more people are going to start coming out. And that's really going to have an effect on it. Look, the main point is this man is sick. He should not be running a city. The fact that he thinks that he can just come out and apologize, then pretend as if everything's okay, then do it again, then come out and apologize. How can anyone trust you? There's no longer any trust between the voter and him.
All right, Katie, let's ask you this. Weiner, Filner, Spitzer, let's rank them 1, 2, 3.
Don't make me do it. I think Filner might be the worst, because he said he's just a hugger and that he just likes to hug people. I think the headlocks is a little much. But I also think that hiring prostitutes when you are signing legislation that cracks down on prostitution is a problem too. So I'm going to say Weiner's the worst of them, with Spitzer at the top and Filner in the middle.
Okay, what about you, Michelle?
I'm going to say that Spitzer's the worst. He broke the law, and I feel like, you know, when you are someone who's a leader, you shouldn't be breaking the law. And then probably the mayor of San Diego for putting a woman in a headlock, and then Weiner. Okay,
we're going to... Just one more time around. Weiner.
They're all terrible. They're horrible people.
Here's where I am on this. I've lived in this city for 20 years. It's the most liberal, it's a liberal wilderness here. They're going to cut this guy some slack.
Yeah, probably.
I hope not.
All right,
you know, his wife's cutting him some slack. She shouldn't be, and I hope that New Yorkers don't either.
We'll leave it there. Katie Pavlich, Michelle Fields, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.